everyone, it's Maddie.
And me, and today we're going to be doing a books and baking whilst answering the questions of the mid-year book freakout tag.
Today we'll be making some kind of oat chocolate biscuit thing. It doesn't really have a name, it's something our mum invented.
It's like kind of a cake hybrid as well, it's really tasty.
There are 12 questions in this tag and we'll leave them in the description as well as a link to the original video if you want to do this too, but it's already July so we've kind of missed the boat on this one, but we still want to answer the questions.
If this is your first books and baking and you want to watch the other videos in this series, we'll leave a link to the playlist in the cards too. The recipe is split into two halves, so we have the dough and the filling to make, and the filling is chocolate based and then the dough is oat based. There are only 7 steps and it takes between 20 and 25 minutes to cook. We've already laid out all of our ingredients, so the next thing to do is weigh them out.
What is your favourite book that you've read so far this year?
That has to be Starfish by Akemi Dawn Bowman. I can't remember what video I talk about it in, but I do rave about it for quite a while. I thought it had amazing emotional depth, I loved the character development, and even though the relationship between the main character and her mother was really hard to read about, it just made for such a successful story that I gave it 5 stars, and I can't wait to see the second book from this author.
And your favourite book is? Editing Emma by Chloe Seeger. I read it for one of the read all days and I just loved it. I think it's because I was so apprehensive going in because I'm wary of funny books, that I won't find them funny and then they'll instantly just not be as great as they could be. But this one I just really laughed at and thought it was amazing. I love the characters and I have the sequel on my Kindle ready to read, so I should probably do that really soon.
Did you get that on NetGalley?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's called The Friendship Fails of Emma Nash. So the first one was about dating and then the second one is obviously about friendship, so I'm hoping I'm going to like it even more than the first. Second question is, what's the best sequel you've read so far this year?
Well, I haven't actually read that many series, which is a big shock considering a few years ago that's practically all I read. So I'm cheating and I'm going to say Your Turn to Die by Sue Woolman, which is her 3rd book, and I really enjoyed it. The series is not related at all, but they all have the same tone and atmosphere. And we've read all of Sue Woolman's books together, which makes them extra special for me. I think it's probably my second favourite. My favourite will probably always be the first one I read, which was See How They Lie, and is yours Lying About Last Summer as well?
No, I'd say this one topped it because I absolutely loved like the family dynamic in the house and the pacing was just perfect for me.
I thought it had one of the best mysteries, like build up and diversion and stuff.
Yeah, I definitely didn't see it coming.
But while you had the egg, what is your favourite sequel of the year?
So I've gone for A Spoonful of Murder by Robin Stephens, which is the 6th book in the series, but it's kind of climbed the ranks as my second favourite. First Class Murder will always be my tippy top, but this one is definitely second because I thought that the atmosphere was so well built. I liked seeing Hazel take a more prominent role in the mystery, and I'm really excited to see how that will change their dynamic in the rest of the series because it definitely feels like the two girls are on equal footing now, whereas previously it always felt like Daisy was taking the lead a lot of the time. So Maddie's going to whisk in the egg and then we add the oats, which we've already weighed out, so I'll weigh out the flour now. New release you haven't read yet. I'm going to choose Clean by Juno Dawson because this has been on our shelves for quite a long time. I think it came out like at least 3 months ago and it had so much buzz from Bookmark. And then there were samplers on NetGalley, and I read one at Yelp last year. So it's been on my radar for a really long time, and then I bought it, and then for some reason I just didn't read it immediately. I think maybe it's because the content is quite heavy, as it's about a girl who goes into rehab from a heroin addiction, and I was always like, I'm not in the mood for something that serious.
When are you ever in the mood?
Exactly, so I think it's just one that I have to bite the bullet on and just start reading because I've liked all of Juno's other books, so this probably isn't going to be the exception. The new release that I want to read is Theatrical by Maggie Harcourt. We read Unconventional last year, and I really like that her recent contemporaries are set around interesting locations. So obviously the first is a convention hall and this one is a theatre, and the theatre seems to be a running theme of a lot of this year's releases. I don't know if you've noticed, but Carrie Hope Fletcher's new book, and then obviously the next Murder Most Unladylike is set in a theatre. I think that would just be really unique. Although I think that the play that they're doing is Romeo and Juliet, and you can't get more cliche than that.
Maybe it isn't unique, but I think it's still interesting because despite lots coming out, I haven't really read any.
Next question is, what's our most anticipated release for the rest of the year?
We're going to Yelk at the end of July, so we're hoping that there we will learn what's coming out and what to be excited for, because we've been a bit out of the loop with new releases. I haven't really been adding things on Goodreads, which is normally where I find things out, and I haven't seen anything on Twitter either. I feel like I was quite aware of what was coming out at the beginning of the year, but at the end we've got no clue, so we will see. Hopefully in our Yelk haul we will have some things that we're very excited to read.
Next question is, what's your biggest disappointment of the year so far?
My biggest disappointment was probably Ultraviolet by R.J. Anderson because it's one that I've owned for a long time and one I've known about for even longer. And I wanted to read it mostly because the second book, which is a companion novel, apparently has an asexual protagonist. So I was like, of course I have to read this then. But then when I was reading it, it just turned into a surprise sci-fi. Originally I thought it was going to be a thriller, sort of murder mystery thing, and it was until about 250 pages through, and then aliens turn up, and I was like, I didn't sign up for this.
My pick would probably be Been Here All Along by Sandy Hall. This was a contemporary I was really looking forward to because it had an MM romance, a bisexual main character, but I didn't realise that it had 2 more characters that weren't part of the romance, and they really slowed down the pacing. And this was only like a 250 page book, so we could have definitely done with cutting out those characters and just focusing on the romance because there was so much to say there. So while B finishes flattening out the dough base, I'm going to get working on the filling.
What was your biggest surprise of the year?
The first one that came to my mind was I've Lost My Way by Gail Forman, because she was an author that was around essentially since the beginning of BookTube.
Yeah, that's
and true. A lot of people were talking about Just One Day.
Yeah, Just One Day. I think that was it.
And I have read that one, but I wasn't as excited about it as I thought I would be. It didn't really click with me, and maybe I would have clicked with it better if I had been a bit older, because the protagonist was a bit old.
Yeah.
In the scheme of YA, I think they were meant to be like 18, and I read it when we were like 13 years old or something, so it just felt very alien to me. I don't know really what it was about it, but it had 3 characters, and I don't think Gail Forman's done anything like that before, so that really interested me. And they all had such different lives, but it was a very similar concept to Just One Day, in the fact that they all met, and it took place over 24 hours, and it was about their friendship developing and how they could help each other kind of bring back something to their lives that they've lost. And I read it during a read all day, so that had its own magic and made me give it 5 stars because I just fell in love with these characters. And normally in 24-hour stories I find it really hard to connect because they're trying to give you so much information so quickly, but I thought that each character had enough backstory to feel like you've known them longer than those 24 hours. So yeah, I was really excited and surprised by that one. Rediscovering Gail Forman has been a really good thing because now I'm really interested in reading all the books that came out since Just One Day. What's your most surprising read, B?
Mine is The Extinction Trials by S.M. Wilson. I completely lost myself in the story. It was action-packed and fast-paced, and there was this glimmer of world building. It meant it was quite light-hearted, even though it had somewhere to go in sequels, that I found myself genuinely interested to read, which doesn't always happen at the end of a new series. Who is your new favourite author?
I'm going with Beth Jarrett, who wrote Super Awkward, and that's a 3-book series at this point. I don't know if it's a trilogy or if it will continue for ages like Geek Girl, and I really hope it does, because again, it's another funny book that I've really fallen in love with, and so I'm going to use the main character as the answer to the next question of my favourite character. Bella Fisher has joined the ranks among Harriet Manners. I really like these books because they're reminding me so much of what I used to read when I was like a really early teen, like Ali's World and Stella Etc. by Karen McCombie. They have kind of that vibe. It's so nice because it feels nostalgic, but it also feels really new.
So we're heating these 2 things together, then we've also got to add a little bit of coconut oil, so we'll do that now and then get mixing. And my favourite characters are definitely Daisy and Hazel from the Murder Most Ladylike series.
The next question is a book that made you happy.
For both of us, this is Royals by Rachel Hawkins. We read this together and it was just delightful fun right about the time of the royal wedding. And it meant that we watched The Princess Diaries practically right after, so that's never a bad thing.
This is almost complete with the chocolate layer. Now we just need to add the other third of the dough and put that on top. B, what was your other favourite author?
Mine is Karen Gregory. We read Countless by her last year, but it wasn't to say I didn't like it, but Skylarks was just so absolutely incredible that it's definitely put her as an auto-buy author. So this is our beautiful end result pre-cooking, and to match 2 of our favourite covers this year has been All These Beautiful Strangers and The Summer of Us. And he's going in for 20 to 25 minutes. Here is what it looks like out of the oven after 25 minutes. I can't wait to eat some once it's cooled down, and with that we will answer the final question.
So it's what books that we're most excited to read for the rest of the year, and we've decided that we're going to have an Emery Laudathon.
She has 3 books published and 1 short story, and we plan on reading all of them and probably doing a video documentary. We are yet to read Open Road Summer and The Start of Me and You, so that's where we'll be starting.
Thank you everyone so much for watching this video. We make writing and bookish videos every week, and you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Maddie and B.
Subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you next time.